for people who've never listened, you were my guest before,
Yes.
and you're a BCBA, you're a business owner,
Yep.
and you're a mom, which is
Yes.
a job in itself.
Right. It's like a double time job. It's the hardest of the jobs. And
I
I
saw a
got a
thing.
lot of jobs to compare to.
I saw a thing that said motherhood is the hardest hood I've lived in.
Yeah. Yes.
And I was
I
like,
agree.
yeah, especially after just having this last baby. I'm like, people are like, are you done? I'm like, 4 kids. Fuck, yes, I'm done.
Yes. No, so we have two. I have a 13-year-old and a 17-month-old. Well, my sister has a 11-month-old, almost 1-year-old, and she's pregnant right now. And the minute that she called me to say that she was pregnant, I realized I am not having any more kids. Like the relief that I had that it was her pregnant, not me pregnant, I was like, I'm done too. And my kids are really far apart. So it's almost like I have two only children. It's like kind of strange and cool. They have like their own totally separate lives, which I like because I can focus on, like what each of them need. But yeah, two, and I'm done. My husband and I are two all over the place for multiple children. Like four, I can't even like comprehend what that looks like in a day.
Well, when you said your sister was pregnant, I thought, I can't, I mean, just, my daughter's 3, my youngest is 3, and then the newborn. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
shit, I don't know how anyone does it with them so close together because my older two are 14 and 8. So they're a
Mm-hmm.
big distance apart too.
Right.
And, but it is cool having one at kind of each stage because my son's
Yeah.
driving soon, which is terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been prepping him and talking to him about like responsibility and
Yeah.
you're gonna money and finances and all that stuff. But then we have like a newborn, and then
I,
most people look at me and they're like, "Oh, is it your first?" I'm like, "No, this is number 4, baby."
yeah.
Like I'm a pro now.
Right. Right. I
So
know. I'm not cut out for it. I can work with kids all day and never feel like overwhelmed or too much. But my own children, like it's a lot. And I'm like, okay, this is all I've got in me.
and I think too that's one of the good things about like ethics. Like I don't really talk to my clients about anything personal because they would be like, "Well, you don't do it." Like you don't have like a daily schedule every moment of every day. And I'm like, no,
Right.
you are correct. Like I
Yep.
really try.
Yep.
I really try. But it has given me more understanding of how to be like more supportive for people. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because I'm like, well, I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
put it
Me
all
too.
together. How
Me
can I
too.
expect these people to like
Eh,
have a every
when
moment
I parent
schedule?
Right. Parent training is like my favorite thing. And one of the things that I try to tell all the parents is like, I'm never going to ask something of you that I wouldn't try myself. And I struggle anyways. Like I have ADHD and I have inattentive ADHD, and it really affects me in areas of the home. Like I love work, and so sometimes I can hyper focus and get into a flow of work, and work becomes like water. Like it's just no problem. But then switching gears from work to home is where I struggle, like where my symptoms are higher, where things are harder. So I like share that with some of my parents. Like if I'm willing to try it, I'm going to ask you to try it. And I'm not even saying that I did it with Fidelity or you're doing it with Fidelity, but like let's give this a shot and we'll see how it works. You give me feedback, I'll let you know. I'll do it too, or I've done it too, and this is how it worked, this is how it didn't. And I found that's a really helpful to the parents that I work with, that I have I am neurotypical or neurodivergent. My daughter is neurodivergent. My 13-year-old has lots of health issues. So when I'm talking to a parent, it's like, hey man, I'm doing this too. So let's work together and see what we can, do. And that has been really helpful for me, like as a mom slash practitioner, when I'm talking to these parents and I'm like, hey, like I know this is really difficult, these are some strategies and a philosophy that might make it easier. And that's kind of how I've approached like my life as a mom, but also like my career my interactions with the families that I work with is like, let's give this a try. And I'm not going to ask anything of you that I wouldn't do myself. And there's been really successful for the parents that I work with, and high buy-in, lower burnout, because it's like, we just have to try. Let's just see. No pressure. Let's just see. And it's been successful for my families. And I think that's what kind of takes the pressure off of me, is that I can share it in a collaborative, let's see how it goes. And then parents are more likely to tell me the truth. Like, when I was younger, a parent may say like, yeah, I did all of this. And it's like, no, in 2 weeks, the parent's like, I didn't do it, but I didn't want to tell you that we didn't do it, or I didn't want, and I don't have that as much anymore. Like, I've figured out that there's a line of like sharing yourself and trying something, but also being understanding and flexible, because everybody struggles in their own way. And so it's like a philosophy / strategy in all of my endeavors.
I don't think that I would have been able to apply that 5 years ago when I started in this field. I just don't think I could have. I don't think that emotionally I had the capacity to do that. I'm 32, but like, I felt like I was very mature in some ways, and then looking back, I just didn't have that capacity to be as empathetic as I could have been to some families.
Yeah. And that's like part of this. I think that's a good like lead in to think, like, I like themes. I like live my life like thematically. So like, what if I'm doing something in one area of my life, I try to like take it over into all the other areas so we can get a really good picture of what's going on. And like, thematically right now, I've been thinking a lot about what the pandemic has done for motherhood, but also what it has done to career mothers, working mothers, and it's like very difficult on us specifically because we carry so much of the mental load of our family. But then we have these blossoming careers, we have these big work responsibilities. For us in the field of ABA, it's like we have clients and their responsibilities, and we're talking to those mothers who have lots going on. And there's just been in my opinion, a lack of empathy in like the systematic building of how motherhood and careers match. It's like, no one cares that we're tired. No one cares that we're bogged down. No one cares that I'm trying to help this mother who has a child with challenging behaviors while my own child is in outpatient, which that happened to me. My oldest daughter was in outpatient care as I'm dropping her off, and then going to group therapy with her, and then going back to my clients. And then it's like the pandemic hits, and that's all still going on, and the world is like, sorry, you signed up for this. And it's like, yeah, but I'm looking at my husband like, we have the same kids. Why is this not expected of you? Why am I the one getting this? Why? Everyone's really understanding when dad takes off work for like the 17th doctor's appointment, because it's like, he's taking his kids. That's so sweet. But when I take off for the 17th doctor appointment, it's like, why are your kids always sick? It's like, I obviously don't want them to be like, I don't know what to tell you. This is just what we got to do. So like, I've really been focused on like lightening the load. And that's one of the things that I wanted to say on today, is like focusing on how women can lighten their load, systematize their life, get things in order, because we can't do it all and we want to do it all. And sometimes we get to look at our husbands and boyfriends and partners and whatevers and say like, but you get to do it all. You get to have 4 kids in a career. Why can't I have 4 kids in a career? But it's like the motherhood requirements are so much that it can like stomp out the career real quick if you're not careful.
Yeah, and I think that's where the empathy part comes in. I even, was just telling my husband, like, you don't understand. Like, you don't understand, because for me, pregnancy period is a transformative experience. I think if you are self-aware whatsoever, and you don't change, I don't know how you wouldn't, but it made me reflect on everything,
Yeah.
what I was doing right, what I wasn't doing right, how I need to improve, what I can do better
Yeah.
for myself, for my kids, for my clients, for my life, all of that. But I'm like, you're not forced to take time off because I literally have to be off. But at the same
Right.
time, I feel like I'm not doing enough because I'm off, but yet I need to sit my ass down. Like I
Yeah.
just had a baby. And
Yeah.
like I might have ADHD. I wouldn't be surprised. I've never been like diagnosed with it, but I'm always doing something.
Mhm.
I'm always doing something. And for me, the last year was like, okay, Courtney, how are you going to learn to chill out and
Uh-huh.
maximize your downtime and whatever
Mhm.
that looks like for you, right? Some people have downtime.
Mhm.
They're like, I go to the spa. My downtime is like reading a book or like doing a business plan. Like
I
that's
like
like my
joke
downtime.
with some of my friends. It's like downtime is like going to the grocery store alone.
That
Like,
I hate the grocery store, but I get it.
but it's like sometimes when it's like I need something at the grocery store, I'm like, and the kids are staying here.
Yeah.
I'm going by myself. No one call me. No one check in. And I only have 2 kids, and one of my kids is pretty self sufficient. So like, and my husband's pretty self sufficient, and he's a help. You know, he helps. Um, but there's still this like really hard line of like what I'm expected to do. And this is it's something that I've been reading about and working on, and it's hard to dive into like the mental load and what that means if you're um a mother and have any sort of responsibility, whether it's a job or whatever, or community service even. But then there's an extra level if you are a career woman, and that's what I have been like trying to dive into, because there's like some people who have a job, and that job is like, I do this from the time I clock in till the time I clock out, and it is a paycheck, and that is all I want it to be. I purposely have this job. And then there are people who have like a craft, and it's like, this is my craft. This is how I work on this all the time. I'm always honing my craft. And then it's like some section of like a career, and the career goes beyond where you work and it goes beyond the craft. It's like the bubble of like, Shelby Dorsey is a career woman. She is a BCBA and a businesswoman. Whether she works for this company or this company, if she's speaking about this or this, it's all one bubble that floats with her. And so if you move out of job and you focus in your career and your craft meet, it's like it's 24/7 then. What you do is 24/7 because you are building something bigger than um, you know, your day to day, your whatever. And like I, in my last couple of years, have really moved from a job, which when I first became a BCBA, it was a job. Then I moved into trying to formulate a career. And now it's like a craft and a career. And anytime I'm not clocked in, it seems like I'm still working.
Did you happen to see the thing that I had posted this funny meme on Instagram, and it was like this guy's like hitting the seat, and it said, the caption said like, when you leave your 9 to 5 to become an entrepreneur and you work from 9 a.m. to 3 a.m. And
Yeah.
it was like, I've listened to a lot of entrepreneur stuff. One of my bigger goals in the last year was to read more instead of like social
Mm-hmm.
media and TV and stuff. And a lot of the common themes are that, you kind of pick your hard.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
working is hard, and you work until you're 65 and you have maybe something to show, maybe not, or you work on yourself. And to me, it's like people will tell me even still, like, you got to slow down, Courtney. Like, you just had a baby. Like, be a little easy on yourself. I'm like, but I'm not where I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that works for you, but like, that was a big reason why I started this podcast, to meet women like you, to meet women
Mm-hmm.
who get it, who understand like the bigger goal, and it's not just about, oh, I have this 9 to 5, which is great. I mean, that's great too. Like, I still work for
And I
like,
right, same. And it's funny that you say that, because I love Instagram, but I reposted this thing that was like, don't forget that it's something like, don't forget that you can be a self-made millionaire and keep your 9 to 5. And one thing that I find funny, is that when people are talking to men, the big theme I see is that, quit your 9 to 5 and be a full-time entrepreneur. When they're talking to men, that's the thing. But when they're talking to women, it's like, oh, you've got a family to take care. Like, what? And for myself, health insurance. I carry the health insurance. So my husband literally quit his job at the beginning of March. And while I supported him quitting his job and I thought it was the best for our family, there was a level of freedom that he has because he does not carry our health insurance. And we have high health, we use health insurance a lot. We have a lot of health needs. And so there's a freedom that he gets to quit his job because he can make the same amount of money doing all of these other things, but I'm going to have to work a 9 to 5, probably for at least the next 10, maybe 15 years. Like, I know that. My plan is not to quit my 9 to 5. But what I get annoyed at is that there are a lot of people like me who are keeping their job because of the benefits they provide their family. Whether they're a single mom or married, it doesn't really matter. But to me, there's not a lot of people saying you can follow your dreams and work a 9 to 5, because I understand that you still have to take care of your family. And so if we're not saying that, and we're saying just quit your job to become an entrepreneur, it puts mothers and women in a really compromising position to me. Because if people have listened to my other podcast, I was a single mom until I was 26. So I'm 30. I'm 30. I was a single mom till I was 26. My husband and I got married, and then, the rest of the story. But a lot of the ways that I approach finances is from the point of view of, it is my responsibility to take care of myself and my children. A man is nice, but not a necessity. And like, that's kind of strange because my husband and I have been together for like 10 years, like we've started dating literally 10 years in 2011. So almost my entire adult life, I have had a partner, and a really supportive partner. But when it comes to money, it's like, no. I need to make sure that I am caring for myself, because that is an important value. And so when I talk to women who are like me, I try to tell them, don't feel bad if you have to keep your 9 to 5. You can keep your 9 to 5 and have these and grow an empire. You can keep your 9 to 5 and be fulfilled while doing these other side hustles and all of these other things. Because sometimes the 9 to 5 is the lifeboat when you're drowning. Like it was for me. And if I didn't have my 9 to 5 right now, I don't really know what we would do. Like it provides a lot of stability for the family. And I got side hustles out the wazoo, but none of them could replace that. And so I get a bit upset when the
narrative,
is like,
fuck it, just quit it, just
right, or like, don't let the cubicle will kill your soul, or get away from the man. You can't be happy working for somebody else's dream. And I see these things as like, while you're putting in 9 to 5, you're building your boss's dream, whatever. And it's like, well, sure, but I'm also providing a really high necessity for my family by providing them health insurance and a reliable paycheck and a sustainable future, because I'm able to pay our bills without the stress of, is my side hustle going to come through? And then my side hustle money gets to be investments, or it gets to be vacations, or it gets to be student loan payment. And I just really don't think that that narrative, the original narrative of like, you're working for your boss's dreams, I really feel like no one thought of women, because we have a lot more responsibility typically, and we have the weight of a societal, like, it's your job to make sure your kids are good, that belongs to us for some reason. I do not know why, but it seems like people are looking at me like, you got to take care of your kids. And then my husband is like man of the year if he does.
Oh, definitely. I mean, we
You
could talk
know,
about
so
that part all day because,
sure,
you know,
sure.
it's
And
like, I'd laugh because when I was pregnant, not this last pregnancy, but with my older daughter, my husband was taking some classes and I was finishing up my bachelor's at the time. And I'm pregnant, right? I'm going to university every like 4 days a week.
yep.
They throw him a baby shower. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, how do you get a baby shower? Like, I'm the pregnant one. No one threw me a baby shower. Like, you know, or those little things like, you know, oh, you're so sweet. You're such a good dad. You took your kid to the doctor's office. But when it's
No, that was going to
mom,
be my example. That has happened to us too. It's like, but if the mom, like at the same time, while someone gets praised, dad gets praised for doing this, mom, if I don't go to the doctor's office, then the next time I go, it's like, we haven't seen you in a while. Dad's been taking care of everything. And it's like, wait, what? We're 50-50, man. He takes half of the doctor's appointments. I take half of the doctor's appointments. Why are you harassing me about this?
it's the same thing
And
at school. I've had
yeah,
some stuff
yeah.
at school and it's completely different when it's me, you know, or like picking up the kids and like teachers will be like, well, where are you going? First of all, hold on a second.
Uh-huh.
You're overstepping a boundary here. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's none of your business.
Yeah.
But that's actually a great segue into just the last year with
Mm-hmm.
COVID-19
Mm-hmm.
and your job was not affected, right? Because we're essential workers, or was
It
it?
wasn't, but I was at a job and I started kind of nurturing a lead to a promotion or a higher, it was a promotion, but it was within a different company in like November, January, before COVID. I was
2019.
coming, 2019, I had my daughter in October. I was on maternity leave and I started like nurturing a lead for a different position with a different company. And it was a lot of negotiation. Like we negotiated higher pay, negotiated some like full remote work,
Can you
which was
talk about that a
interesting.
little bit?
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah. So
there
I
might be
had
people who are listening who don't
who
really
don't
know
know it.
how to
Yeah.
negotiate.
Absolutely. So I was approached on LinkedIn by the owner and executive director of a company, and she said I had referred some clients to this company. They just have a very good reputation, and so I had some clients that were not happy at the company I worked for, and so I referred them to this company. Well, I apparently got a glowing review from this family, and I had worked with some of her staff before, so she kind of started asking about me. She messages me on LinkedIn, hey, are you interested in a BCBA position? Da, da, da. And we met for coffee. And I said, I just have to be honest. This sounds amazing, but I can't make a lateral move. I am a BCBA at an in-home company. I make this much money. This is what I have. You're essentially offering me the same position at a different company, and I am not in the position to move for a lateral position. And then she offered like, well, what if we paid you a little bit more? Well,
After taxes, is it the same? It's the same.
but the stress and the like retirement changes and health benefit changes, all of those take time and energy that it for a lateral move, it's like, I'll just stay here. And I told her that, thank you so much, but it's not something that I can do with a lateral move. It's just not. I would have to be up. And I was like, I would really like to move into a clinical director position. That is one of my goals as a BCBA. And so if you ever have a clinical director position and that's something that you're interested in, with me in mind, please let me know. So, we have a really great conversation. We talk, but we leave it. In a couple of weeks, she's like, hey, can we get coffee again? Yes. We go get coffee, and she's like, okay, I am working as the clinical director and executive director kind of at the same time. I'm looking for an in-home clinical director because I don't do clinic-based ABA at that position. I do it as a practitioner. I am not competent in that area to do it at a clinic. So in-home is my game. And she's like, I don't have a clinical director of in-home. Is this something you would be interested in? Yes, this is exactly what I would be interested in. And I say, this is really important for people because I knew what I wanted. And the way I was going to leave my current job was if I was moving up, either in a big jump in pay, a big jump in freedom, meaning all my own scheduling, all my own whatever, I get to pick my clients. Like if that was an option, I would stay a BCBA or supervising BCBA at a company or a clinical director. I don't want to work in a clinic for any company. I don't want to be an assessing BCBA or anything like that. I want to be a supervising BCBA or a clinical director in-home. And I told her that in my first meeting with her. These are the things that I'm looking for. And I read a couple of negotiation books a year. Like I try to get them in. And there's one that's called Never Split the Difference that I really love.
I've heard of that one.
Yeah. And there's another one that I just can't think of at the top of my head, but if I remember it, I'll call it out. And so because I laid it out and told her exactly what I wanted, I don't know what her process was, but basically she went back to the drawing board in a month or so, came at me again with a better offer. This time the position was right, the autonomy was right, the whatever was right, but the pay was not what I would, I don't know how to say, I want to say not what I would accept, but that can be a little misconstrued. It was more like I did my market research for the area and the pay was a little under the market research for the position that I would be taking and the responsibilities that I would be required to handle. And so we talked about that and she gave me the number and I basically said like, let me think about it. Let me ask you some questions about what this job, like in the same meeting, let me ask you some questions. So she told me about that they have some reimbursements, like mileage reimbursements or this, and knowing myself as a person, I am not very good with like the paperwork, like monotonous paperwork, like doing the same paperwork every day actually makes paperwork harder. I do a much better job with novel paperwork than the same paperwork over and over. So something for me like tracking my miles is very, very hard for me. It doesn't work well. And so I know this about myself. And I also know that tracking expenses, while I do love finances and money, tracking expenses is busy work. It is really difficult to do all of these things that I was going to be required to do and also keep paper pencil record, because she didn't use any kind of app system, paper pencil record of my reimbursements. Yeah. So I basically asked to go to the bathroom in the middle of it. Like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, take my phone, and I sit in the Starbucks bathroom figuring about how much these expenses are going to be a year. Okay, so if you have a $200 max for this and a this for this and a this for this, then that equals it equaled about $8,000. So when I go back out there, I say, okay, while I was in the bathroom, I thought about this, and the things that I would be reimbursed for is about $8,000. I could come to this position for $10,000 more. And in our contract, you will not have to reimburse me for this. I won't do any reimbursements. I won't ask for my mileage to be reimbursed. I won't ask for this, nothing. I will take care of everything of that on my own. And she was like, that is a very interesting proposition. And she was like, okay, okay, let me think about that. Let me think about that. I said, okay, sounds great. We chat a little more. We end the meeting at Starbucks. About 3 days later, she emails me back and is like, I'll do it. That works for me. No, like she didn't even give me like, no, let's do it. It's only 8,000, but you're asking for 10,000 more. It worked for her too, because if I have less paperwork, like all of these little things that was going to require, I was going to get the $8,000 anyways, but it was going to be so much extra busy work on both of us.
Mm-hmm.
So she says yes, and I get the amount that I, right in the ballpark of what I really thought that the job should pay. But then also I just immediately cut like 3 hours a week or more of busy work that would have been required for this job. And so that is happening like December, January. In February, my daughter, or end of January, my daughter has a health crisis that requires me to like quit my other job a little bit early. So I quit my other job early. My new job is going to start on April 6th of 2020. Pandemic hits in March. So actually, when the pandemic hit, I didn't have a job. I was moving.
We were
To
transitioning.
this new company, and the company that I work for now, this new company, was hit pretty hard because we're a very small company. And
Did they have to lay anybody off?
they
did they just
didn't
kinda
lay
hold?
they didn't lay anybody off, but everyone company wide got a 10% pay decrease. Okay. But we were all remote. Everybody's 100% remote. So my pay gets cut
You're
by
expensive.
10%, but I don't have any expenses. So I still end up on top of that base salary. And I like, at the time, because she's like, sends me this email, you're going to start at a reduced rate. I hope that's okay. Your job's going to look a bit different. It's So I say, okay, can we like renegotiate parts of this? And I said, after COVID, can I say 100% remote? She's like, yeah, we can make that happen. I'm like, okay, I will bust my ass to coordinate, because the whole company had to go remote at the time. And I'm the new clinical director. So I'm helping everybody go remote. And I don't know why she believed in me. I don't know if somebody told her something good. She's my executive director is like a woman of few words. And so I have no idea why she believed in me. So I wish I could tell you like, oh, I did this and that impressed her. I have no idea, but she was agreeable. And so I got a 10% pay cut, but I also was still on top of what I had asked for, led this very strange remote transfer, and negotiated my way into a full-time remote position. And it wasn't as easy as me saying like, hey, I want to go remote, and her saying like, okay. There was discussion about, why can we be remote? What can I provide the company remote? How can I make sure no one fails? Is there going to be a time when I have to drive to a place? What is this? All of those were conversations, but I pre-thought, I lined out what I could do and what my strengths were. And I know what my weaknesses are. So this remote move plays to my strengths. The previous, requirements were actually some of the things that I struggle with. So I shined when COVID hit because I work from home. I love working from home. I've worked from home for a couple of years. I am very comfortable doing online meetings. I'm very comfortable leading via text, email, whatever. That's not a problem for me. And so we worked it out. And it was like, I won't say it was seamless, but it was a really nice transition. So your question was like, was your job affected by COVID? Yeah, but we made it work. And I actually think that COVID, for all of the really horrific things that it has done, one of the important aspects that I think it's going to bring to the American workforce is I've been doing telesupervision and telehealth for several years pre-COVID, and I had always been interested in this online working. I mean, even in 2014, 15, I'm interested, I'm learning about it. And a lot of the companies that I've worked for have these unnecessary in-person requirements that is a waste of time, energy, and company resources. And moving to a more online version is like, especially with ABA, like I was driving 2 hours to one of my clients' houses, 2 hours there, 2 hours back. The company is losing 4 hours. And BCBAs are high billable, like it's a high hourly rate.
Yeah.
So if the insurance is reimbursing $120 an hour for us or whatever it is, that's over $500 a day that I'm driving burning up. And those are the kind of conversations that I had with my executive director. We are paying BCBAs to drive to houses when parent training, specifically parent training, because our parents were polled and they said they prefer online parent training. So not only do they prefer online parent training, but it's costing us money to send our BCBAs out there. So kind of like leading into all of this, it's being really aware of what it works, what you need, what your company needs, what works best, and then using that as a tool of negotiation, because the whole point is the negotiation is you're trying to make it better. So if you're going to negotiate for a $15,000 raise, you better have a very clear idea of what makes you $15,000 more expensive. And
like
so
that.
for me, I thought the expenses are $8,000 and she's going to pay those anyways. So I really only have about $2,000 of Shelby money. And that's not a hard sell. I'm qualified. I work hard. I want to be here. All of these things. So I just got to sell myself on that, build in a $10,000 negotiation. And I'm selling it with my soul. I'm convinced that this is what I'm worth. And I'm even willing to have explicit examples. So for people listening who are ABA or behaviorists, it's like, not only am I selling a dream, but I have a list of action items. I have a list of goals. I have a list of a task list of what I will be doing so that you can see this is where we're going. This is what we're going to do to get there. This is what we need. And that was really helpful in the negotiation because it's really hard to argue with. And she is also a BCBA. So it wasn't like I was talking to some
just like a
investor that doesn't understand, or a recruiter, and no disrespect to recruiters because I've been hired through recruiters before. But that power of negotiating is like knowing your industry and knowing what you provide and then using that to say, these are the data points. I also really, preach, I guess maybe the right word, that you should always know what your market value is in your area. So like, I don't live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area of Texas. I live in West Texas. However, my market is the Dallas-Fort Worth market. So when I price myself, I'm pricing Dallas-Fort Worth. I'm not pricing small town, middle of nowhere. Why? Because my service is going to be done there. And so I know what clinical directors make in my area. I know what BCBAs make. I know what RBTs make. I know what companies bring in. I know who are the big investors and what are companies selling out for, because the business that I work for is owned by our executive director. And I have to know that we need to be in the green so she don't sell us to some capital venturist that just wants an ABA company. So then when my employees come to me and it's like, billable hours, all anybody cares about is billable hours, then I can very confidently say the reason that billable hours are so important is because we have to be in the green. We have to make this business work so that we don't have to be bought out by venture capitalists who have money from other places to invest. Then you're really going to be talking billable hours. And then when I say that, everybody's like, oh, I never talked to a BCBA who was pro billable hours,
It
and
was transparent and but it's because you
about
understand the business. I didn't fully
yes,
understand the business until I started making my own business plan for my own company and
yeah.
realizing, first of all, holy crap, there's so much money to be made. But then
Mm-hmm.
second of all, this is why BCBAs are paid this way. I personally think RBTs can be paid more. That's my own opinion.
Well,
It's something that I want to do when I open my company is pay them competitively.
one of the things that I love so much about the current company that I work for is so I was a special education teacher, and we pay comparable rates to teachers, which teachers are underpaid. Okay, I do understand that, but also our RBTs don't have anything to take home. There's no parent teacher conferences. There's no principals being da 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 da. You get paid for what you're there for. So I have a lot of RBTs that come from education and leave to become an RBT, and we pay them enough that they don't have to take a pay cut from going from a special education teacher to an RBT. Do you know what kind of quality services I'm able to give with those kind of RBTs? Holy cow, my RBTs are brilliant. Like they really are. And half the time when I'm in a meeting with them, I'm like, you really need to get your BCBA. You just need to do that. Or BCABA. We have some BCABAs too.
Mm-hmm.
You really should do this because you're really gifted. But if you understand the business part of it, if you understand the business part of your 9 to 5, then you can become more competitive at that 9 to 5. So yeah, every billable hour that I work is making my boss money. Sure. I don't mind my boss making money. Good for her. But she's got a lot of other stuff to worry about in this company that I don't have to worry about because I clock in and I clock out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not liable. I don't have all these other things. I don't have the planning. And so what I focus on is if I understand the business, then when my market rate goes up, I'm going to ask for a raise. I'm going to negotiate something else. I'm going to whatever these things that are important to me, I'm going to stay in the know, and my boss knows I'm in the know. So she talks to me a bit more transparently than maybe someone who doesn't know the business that may take her words out of context. We have to have billable hours, Shelby. Everybody has to hit their hours. We will be in the red if they do not. And to another person that might take that as like, they don't even care about the kids. It's like, no, we do care about the kids, and that's why we have to make sure everybody can get paid.
Yes. And I think that also back to that narrative of the 9 to 5 is that if, as a business owner, and I only know this for people who are listening who've never heard the show, I had a gym. It was an epic fail, but I tell everyone it was the best $30,000 mistake I had to make to fully punish all of those behaviors that I did not like terrible. But
sure,
I had to learn certain things that I wasn't planning for. And as an owner, you have so much more responsibility and you're paying more in taxes. So all the things, as an employee that I was selfish about that I didn't understand prior, I now understand, but it's also something that I can't unsee. So now I'm like, oh, okay. All right. So I understand how this business works. I understand what the expenses are. I understand how much you're actually making when a BCBA is doing billable hours, how much RBTs are bringing in. I know where that spread is. So I know for sure you're getting paid $50, $60 an hour for an RBT, and you're paying some of these RBTs $15 an hour. That's great. That's just like, I'm not with that. But
and I also think, that's a good something that I really believe in is like working for a company that you believe in. So when I have worked for companies that I didn't believe in, I did carry like a salty nature about how much money they were making off my labor. That's a real thing that I worry about is this is my labor and I'm getting paid $35 an hour and you're making 120 off of me. That's wild. But then if I work for a company that I trust, that I believe in, maybe they're making $120 and I'm making 35, but instead they are they're doing grant programs, they're doing free parent training, they're doing some kind of community outreach. So the difference of my 130 or my 35 to my 120, all that is going back into the community. I'm with that. I'll do that because I'm learning a lot. Or maybe they're paying us a lot of for education expenses, lots of CEUs, lots of training, lots of whatever. Then I can say, you know what? Me taking a lower rate is an investment in myself because this company is providing me so much. And so I have a part-time job that I work on Tuesdays, and I work on Tuesdays at this job, and I work in the morning of Thursdays at this job. And that's my real rate. $35 an hour as a BCBA is my real rate for that job. Okay. It's not just billable hours though. When I clock in, that's my rate. I have amazing access to professionals in the field. I have amazing access to CEUs. I have amazing access to webinars and professionals and that they provide for free. I have amazing leadership and mentorship. They're a nonprofit. So we bill insurance, but any money they get from that billing goes into a community fund or to, serve children with grants who don't have insurance. I take $35 for that. That's a major pay cut for any other kind of job that I would ever have. If you are in the ABA world, that's a pay cut. However, I keep the job and I work it just as hard because I'm getting a lot out of those, 10 hours a week that I work there. And so if you're working for a company that you believe in, I'm not salty about the low pay.
Well, you have other reinforcers available too.
Sure.
It's
exactly.
not just the money.
And my motivation is crafting my skill. That's what I really like. I want to be the best. My 9 to 5 pays me what I'm worth, but there's almost no learning opportunities available. I am in charge there. So I am giving learning opportunities. I'm not getting learning opportunities. This other job, I'm surrounded with BCBADs. I'm surrounded by other PhD students. I'm surrounded by PhDs. I'm surrounded by autism experts, ADHD experts, It's a university setting. It's amazing. And in the DFW area where I work is like the part-time job is known for like low rates. Like if anybody ever talks about them, like, yeah, but they don't pay anything. And I used to think, why would somebody work there then? And then I got an opportunity to be involved in a project and I'm like, oh my gosh, well, this is an investment in myself. The money allows me to drive there or allows me a little wiggle room so that I can adjust my schedule or have a babysitter, because if I'm not working my 9 to 5 on Tuesdays, then I have to work it on Saturdays. You know what I mean? So there's like, I think in all of this, one of the things I want to get across is like, if you understand yourself, if you know yourself and know what your purpose is and know what you're trying to get to, then you can maneuver things in a manner that makes your life a bit more efficient. And then that's like the theme wraps right back around into like the mental load is I have a house cleaner. I don't like cleaning the house. I would rather work extra than clean the house. So you know what I do? I schedule consult meetings at the same time that my house cleaner comes. And it's an even trade. What I'm charging for my consult is the same amount she charges me for cleaning, and I do it at the same time she comes. Why? I love consulting. I hate cleaning the house. My time is better spent consulting. I'm honing a craft. I'm happier. My family's happier. Everybody's happier. Do I make any money during Saturday mornings or Sunday mornings when I'm consulting? No, it's a flat trade. I'd rather be consulting than cleaning the house though. And that makes it worth it for me. It also lowers my mental load, lowers my burnout, lowers everything that I don't like. I just put it somewhere else.
Yeah, I think that's there's so many other things. We're probably gonna have to schedule another one, and then
I know, right?
We didn't even talk about Fresh Press. We didn't talk about your real estate.
Yes.
Which is like, I know you had a big was it a flood or something?
So we had a huge winter storm So I have rent houses. I have 3 rent houses. We had a winter storm, and where we live, it got down to negative like 5. We usually have winters that are like 35. So all of the pipes around town busted. We didn't have water for 10 days. We didn't have electricity for 4 days while my renters were not home. When I text them to check on them, they said that they were home, said that everything was okay, no big deal. 2 weeks later, 10 days maybe later, I get a call at like 7 p.m. I just got home. The house is flooded. They were not home. They had not been transparent about that there was no one at the house at the time of the storm. And 48,000 gallons of water, 48,000 gallons of water ran in a 6-day period and flooded the house. And my insurance did not cover it.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to have, this is actually a great point to probably cut it. I'm going to have to, would you mind if whenever, it doesn't have to be any type of, I have to go, I'm actually going to go see this like dream building.
Sure.
For the center that I want to open. It's like, it looks like a little, I say Shrek, but like, like where he lives, but it's like really ugly, but it reminds me of like this little cottage in the forest.
I love,
and that's kind of the idea and the theme that I think I want for the early intervention center. And I still don't have a name, but I have to go. It's right down the street from me, so it's not far.
Sure.
But we have to talk about your real estate. I didn't. Okay, I didn't even know that you had 3. Did you acquire those recently? You had 1, I think, when we talked to. I thought maybe I just didn't ask.
Yeah, maybe I did have 1 when we talked. I have 3. I don't really remember the date. I know I was pregnant when I got 1, so that would have been in 19, and I didn't acquire any in. I did. I got 1 in 18, 1 in 19, 1 in 2020. So 1 a year.
So maybe you had
is about the pace I'm going.
You're such a boss.
Yeah, I like the ending segment of this is that I only do what I like to do. And some people say that you can't do that. You can't only do what you like to do. And I say true, but if you pick what you like to do, then the stuff that you don't like to do feeds into what you like to do, and there's motivation to do it. If you are doing things that you don't like to do and the motivation isn't there, then they're really heavy. So I really suggest that anyone who has a list of things that they don't like to do consistently, they don't like to do them, have a list of things that you like to do that, and I don't mean like passion project, like paint. If you're a construction worker and your passion project is hockey, I can't help you much. But if you can think of, I like talking on the phone, I don't like doing paperwork, let me see if I can find someone to do the paperwork for me, and I'll do the phone talking for them. Let me find somebody that doesn't like talking on the phone.
I hate doing notes.
So do I.
Like,
same. And so,
I like data, but I don't like the notes part.
Same. And so find things that allow you to look at that in those ways, and then you can systematize other things. And then sure, you have people working for you, but really you're placing people in jobs that you aren't good at or you don't like, and you're staying with things that you're a craft. Is it fun to do a rent house like that? No, but I really enjoy real estate. Like I like learning about it. So like, even though it sucks that my house flooded, it's not that big of a deal because I like it. Now, if something bad happened with paperwork.
Okay, people who are listening, her insurance didn't cover it. I can only imagine on the next part, we're going to have to talk about all those numbers and really, objectively define what this meant.
Yeah.
But she said, is it that big of a deal? I'm sure she was shitting her pants at the time that it happened. But
the funny thing is I put on Instagram, like I wrote something funny on Instagram and I can't even remember what it was, but my very best friend, like my lifelong friend of like 30 years, I've known her since before kindergarten, wrote back, if 48,000 gallons of water in a living room of a rental property is the small stuff. I wrote something like, don't sweat the small stuff. There's still other stuff to be done. She said, if 48,000 gallons of water in the living room floor is the small stuff, then you, my friend, are, then she said something funny that I can't remember, but it was like, you are way beyond what anyone else can comprehend. And there's like something special in that, because I didn't freak out or shit my pants or lose any sleep, right? Like I literally didn't lose any sleep. Why? There was nothing I could have done. I text the renters to ask if they were there. They said they were. They weren't. The house is flooded.
Yeah.
The insurance is not going to cover it. The being worried or the stressing out or the whatever, I stress out when I need to do something or I did something wrong. There is nothing that I could have done to prevent this. And it's been interesting to figure out how to fix it. And I don't mind that hard work. And I come from a mindset of like, I can't think of the word, like not scarcity, but the opposite of scarcity. Growth, abundant mindset. I can make more money. I will make more money. I will put the money into this house. It will be fine. It'll be fixed, whatever, next. But I'm not going to get wrapped up in it. And that's how I can do so many things. It's like, I'm not losing sleep over that. I still have to go to work the next day. I still have to do blank the next day. I still have to do blank. So I don't lose time in fret.
Yeah, I think the common theme here too is, and I hear it in all these entrepreneur podcasts that I listen to, books that I've read, is just like, we're like problem solvers, and it's like, the reality is I'm working on this, but there's going to be problems every day. And I was just listening to a podcast and they were like, if you just accept that every day there's going to be shit. Every day there's going to be something, and to just like be okay with that, then the problems that do come will be a lot smoother because.
And if you're going into anything thinking that you're going to avoid the problems, well, you're setting yourself up for failure anyway. So they're going to be problems. You're going to figure them out. La-di-la, no issue. Like, just keep going.